Hello, and welcome to a Reinvent Yourself podcast. I am Lisa Andrea, and I want to thank you for listening. My goal is to share insights from successful people in order to help others with the reevaluate, restore, and reinvent journey. My guest today is Linda Kraemer, a licensed marriage family therapist who is currently working as a group leader and supervisor at College Psychiatric Hospital in Cerritos. She is also a sustainability and green energy advocate for market-based solutions to pollution and climate change. She is the current chapter chair of the Climate Reality Project, Orange County, California, a member of Citizens Climate Lobby Conservative Caucus, and a city team lead for OC Clean Power. As an advocate, she's provided presentations, been a guest speaker at conferences such as the 2018 UCI Global Climate Summit, and become active in advocating for climate-friendly elected officials. For instance, she was active as a campaign worker for the successful Harley Ruda 48th Congressional District 2018 campaign in Orange County. She has been working on reinventing her career by educating herself on opportunities in renewable energy and sustainability. I will also add, since you're a close personal friend of mine, that she is a very talented musician that plays locally with a large network of musicians and promotes several open mic events. And one more thing on a personal basis, like I said, she's a great friend and musical mentor of mine. So welcome, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me to interview you today.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, and it is a pleasure to have you. I've been in awe of your transformation over the past year or so. And I truly believe you can help others by talking to how you, after making the decision to move into the green energy field, have taken the steps to make that reinvention transition. And as I like to call it, you're basically knee-deep in the reinvention process.
Yes, that's a good way to describe it.
Because you're right in the middle of it. It's not that you've completed the process. You haven't just started it. You're probably, about a year into it, would you say? Or has it been about a
year and a half. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What made you decide to make a change to this new career direction?
So I got very active after the 2016 election. I just all my life have cared about pollution because I had asthma, and that sort of made me very aware of some of the other things that were going on with fossil fuels and climate change. And after the election, I couldn't sleep that night, and thinking about what's going to happen with climate change. But I hadn't been very active. I had been concerned from a scientific point of view. I have a master's in science, and the research was something I was always interested in. So after the election, I just started Googling, how can I get involved? What can I do? And I found a training in Colorado through Climate Reality, the Al Gore's group. And I went to that training, and that just changed my life, because I met so many incredible, smart, intelligent people. And I also met a lot of people in the renewable energy business there. And I started talking to them about what they did, and I just knew it's such a positive industry. And I had been thinking for a while, it's time for a career change. So that just sort of got me kicked off on this idea to enter some sort of area in renewable energies.
So when you say it was a positive, I kind of picked up on that it was a real positive industry. You've been a psychologist. I can imagine that that's very pressing on your psychology, and for you to take in and helping people with their problems. That's not necessarily a very positive day-to-day job, right?
Yes, it is. I do love what I do, and there are rewards in it. But I've been at the psychiatric hospital for 20 years, and it's a long time, and it's an intense industry. And so I have been looking at what else might I like to do. And so this is just such a natural fit for me in so many ways. There's a lot. I'm looking into sales, solar sales, and different kinds of advocacy positions, and all of my interpersonal work in psychology just fits right into that.
So you kind of mentioned that your first step was, and what you really found the passion was that convention and all that information that you went to. So what was the first step you took after that to get into this brand new industry? What was the first step?
Well, the first step was I just started talking about it. Even at the convention, I introduced myself at the table, and I said part of my story was I was looking to reinvent myself. At the same time, I did advocacy. I got inspired by several of the people there. There was a young woman that had posted an announcement from Solar City. I'm here, come and meet me. And so I did, and she was in Denver. And I said, how'd you get in to this industry? And she said, oh my gosh, it's such a great time for women to be in the industry. And she pointed me to a few websites and ways to learn more about solar. And so I came back. The first thing I did, I also was very inspired. I sat next to four members of the Park City, Utah City Council and the mayor. And I told them, gosh, I'm in Orange County. I'm in a district where we have some people in Congress that are not climate change believers. And I really want to go back and I want to make a difference there. And they were so encouraging, and they gave me their cards and they said, please do it. And so when I came back here, I was really energized. I started Googling what organizations in Orange County there were, learned about Citizens Climate Lobby and the Conservative Caucus, and I am actually very business minded. And so starting to get into advocacy work opened the doors to meeting all kinds of people in renewable energy as well. And that sort of led me to ask them questions about how to get into the industry.
And it's funny because my next question was going to be, where did you go for help? Well, you answered that.
Yeah.
You found the people initially in that whole conference, and it seems like they're so willing to help and provide you information, especially when with your personality and your passion, they can read it. I mean, that's huge. Just asking for help, going and finding the right people that could give you the help. And then everybody is willing to help.
Yes.
I have to agree with that. When you want to make a change, ask the right people. Google it, like you said. I mean, the internet's there for help. You might as well use it, right?
Right. In fact, when I say talk about it, I cannot overemphasize that enough. Because if people just say, how are you? How's your family? I'll say, I'm great. I'm fine. I'm looking to change careers. And that has led to just ideas and people helping me out.
Putting it out in the universe is kind of how they put it. Yeah.
In the universe. And I have, I don't know if this is the right time to talk about it, but in one instance, someone I had, a fellow musician, I had been talking to him, and he had actually been in a cell phone business. And I asked him how his business was, and he said, oh, I changed to solar. And I said, I want to get into solar. And he has become a great mentor to me. His name is Alan Brower, and he works at Solar Wholesale Group in Long Beach. And he said, well, if you want to get into solar, you need to go to this convention. And he got me in. He's basically sent me a ticket. And he's just been this amazing mentor, so helpful in getting me moving in this industry.
And that's fantastic. Finding a mentor like that is huge.
Right.
Is huge. So how do you well, let's go back to, you got to make money. If you really want to make a full transition, you have to make money.
Yes.
So how are you working towards financial success as part of this goal?
So it's a little tough to be going into such a different industry. This is entry level for me.
Yeah.
And what I did is I made a decision to stay in the business I'm in, which I know very well, but cut my hours. And I've been there long enough, and I have a strong enough relationship there, and I can contribute. So I was able to go to 4 days a week, and I have 1 day a week where I job hunt, I do my advocacy work, and I do training and go to seminars to learn this other business. And I also have had the opportunity through that to find volunteer work, which has been critical. So I signed up at this convention I went to that Alan referred me to. There was a job fair, and I found out about grid alternatives, and I signed up to be a volunteer, and I went on rooftops.
I saw the pictures.
How to install solar.
Yeah, that was. I mean, I was really quite impressed. You were up on a roof and actually doing the physical work. But that's how you learn about it, right? I mean, all day long, sitting with someone who's actually doing the work, I'm sure they're sharing with you, okay, we have to point the panels here. This is what's important. The whole science of it. I'm sure you learned a lot that day. And you were, boy, you were working it. I saw those pictures. So how have you overcome days when you feel discouraged? I get those days, and I know everybody has to experience them when you go, oh my gosh, I don't have a job yet. You're feeling discouraged. How do you get through those days?
It's been tough. And I think, honestly, if I'm totally honest with myself, sometimes out of fear, I distract and I learn more and I go and do more volunteer things. And I've had to really hone myself in and do some self-talk and say, I need to keep my eye on the ball and be targeted. And so that's one thing. The other, I think, is to continue to talk to other mentors. Even in my advocacy work, I've had the opportunity to work with people that are also energy efficiency experts and energy engineers. So, I've talked to them, and they have pointed me in a new direction, sent me free training sites. One advised me to join a group called RISE, which is Women of Renewable Energy and Sustainability, and I just joined them, and they offer a mentor. So I think it's just talking to people in the industry also, and them pointing me in new directions. I
was thinking about it because we had a conversation prior to our interview here today, and they are talking about, a recession coming in sometime in 2019. To me, the solar energy whole realm would not be as affected by it because it is new technology and it's what everybody's striving for. Right. So I think that's also a good sign for you in what decision you've made, because this is the future, right? Going to solar energy or some type of sustainable green energy is the future, and has to be the future for us to survive on this earth. And you've kind of talked a little bit about it, but making the decision to go in solar energy, making this transformation, making this reinvention, how do you feel it's provided you more happiness in your life?
I just feel at peace. I feel, and I think you mentioned this at one point, I feel home. Like I've found something I'm so passionate about. I can stay up till 2 a.m. reading an article on a new solar technique. I love learning it. I love learning about it. I love meeting the people in the industry. It's a very positive industry, but it's also a passion I have. It's going to help the earth. And
you have a big family. I know you got a lot of grandchildren. I mean, nieces and nephews.
Nieces and nephews. I care about it. I'm working for a future for them, but I also love the science of the technology. And so I can read as much as I want about that. I never get bored with it.
So giving advice to those listeners, let's start out with what the most difficult part of this process would be. What would you think is, in your eyes, has been the most difficult step or part of the process?
Okay. Well, I'm older. I'm 50. I was 54 when I started this, and I'll tell you, it's getting back out there after having a steady job for 20 years was hard. Even learning to do online applications, learning the technology and all the online software I'm still learning that. At the same time, that has been one of the best gifts, because it's helped my personal life to be able to learn and use Google Sheets. It's helped my advocacy work. And I love that I can have mentors, even on my leadership team through Climate Reality, where we have a 6-member leadership team. Some of the younger members are the ones that are coaching me on how to use communication and how to use hashtags and
social media.
And so just being able to partner with some of them, and they're of course so gracious to teach me, has been a positive thing about it. At the same time, it's hard to admit how much I don't know sometimes.
Well, but we came from a different generation. So
Yeah.
we've actually, I feel like we shouldn't make any excuses or apologize for it. We just be open to learning new things and be open to what's happening right now and learn about it. I think that's probably the best gift we could give to ourselves, really.
Right.
So I was going to say, what was the most exciting part? Sounds like that's really been a good part of the exciting part. Is there anything else that's really been exciting about this whole transformation and this process that you could share?
I think I've met some incredible people, and one in particular was one of my table mates, Sydney Weiss, at the Climate Reality Training in Denver, came back and she organized a Women in Green Energy conference. She was part of an organization team, and so she was able to get some of us into the conference at a reduced rate. And she, at that conference, I met TJ DiCaprio, who was the sustainability manager for Microsoft. And she was so present for all of us all day. She hung out at every break, every lunch, and just talked to us. And one of the things, I was whining that day because I had come from an advocacy meeting in Orange County where I got a bunch of eye rolls, and sometimes this work is hard. And she basically gave me this pep talk and said, I don't even mention the environment when I'm working in my business. You need to get smart about business sense and cost savings if you want to be in this business. And she gave me this great talk. And she said, if you want to learn this industry, go out there and make changes in your own life, at your church, at your current work, in your city. And that is what I did. I went back and I researched, energy efficiency in hospitals, and I looked at what our city was doing, and I got involved there. And I looked into sustainability training, which led me to Orange Coast College and taking a class in Intro to Sustainability through their architectural technology.
So she's like, number one, follow the money, because businesses will definitely look to save money. I know that from my past.
Right.
And then walk the talk.
Walk the talk, right. And, very gentle way, stop making excuses for yourself. It is hard. And you can do it.
So a lot about having a dream is, they say it's not a dream unless you write it down, like what your goal is. Right. Have you decided at this point what your final goal is? Like, what would you like to achieve, and kind of giving yourself a time frame, and where do you want to get to? Or is that even something you've set for yourself? You may have it as an open-ended, I'm not sure.
So I'm getting back to that. I did sort of veer off in my advocacy work, which I'm glad I did, because we just had some important elections. And I've never really been involved in canvassing or getting in advocacy in elections. But I decided that that was an important thing I wanted to do in terms of getting representatives that believed in taking action on climate change. So I got very busy in being an activist and canvassing for candidates I believed in.
You were working on Harley Rudis campaign.
Yes. And that, again, was another experience where I met a ton of people, smart people, and innovators. And I also made some connections of people, even representatives or past representatives, past mayors that were now advocates in the field, but know people in the industry as well. So even though I veered off that, I decided to do that. And now that the election's over, I'm getting back to two things. A little more self-care, because that was a lot of time. And also back into setting my goals. And I actually have a meeting tomorrow morning, a training meeting to learn a solar sales software. A 1-hour consultation meeting at 7:30 in the morning tomorrow morning. And so I am pretty sure I'm going to go into some sort of sales, because I've also learned as a psychotherapist that I have great interpersonal skills, and it makes sense for me. So I'm honing in on that business.
Okay, so that's you have a set goal.
Yes.
I want to thank you, because you've shared a lot of information. And even though those of you listening may not specifically be going into the field that you're going into, every step that you've taken and all the advice that you've given can be translated to anyone and when they want to reinvent themselves and when they're getting into a whole new industry, which is difficult for those of us at this age. We've been kind of gotten our comfort either working for a corporation or just doing something for a long period of time, knowing it inside and out, and then moving into something completely different.
Yes.
I commend you. I've looked up to you for this last year and a half or so because I've seen you going through this. I literally have not had time to talk to you because you've been that busy and focused. So when you're going through this reinvention process, everyone just know it's a lot of work, but it has such great rewards.
Right.
You know, to end this, I've said this before and I will say it again. I truly believe that everyone should live their bliss, no matter their age, what age it is, before they leave this earth. You have decided that helping our Mother Earth is your bliss, so I believe you are a living example of this particular quote that I found from Jane Goodall. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. You're living and breathing that.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful. Please let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, and I'll also be putting on the videos some links into you. What's the best way to get a hold of you, either for job interest or for you to speak? Because I know you've done some definite speaking engagements.
Yes, probably the best way to get a hold of me is through my LinkedIn profile, which I'll include, Linda Kraemer, but also, if you're interested in the advocacy work I'm doing in Orange County, that is through Climate Reality, and we're called the Climate Reality the Climate Reality Project, Orange County, California chapter. We have a Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way, but you can also go to the Climate Reality Project website and search for our chapter there. But that's a great way. You will not regret it. You can be involved at any level, even if you're good at writing letters or you just want to learn more about it. You can have us come speak at your groups. There's lots of us speaking and, make a difference in whatever small or big way you want to. So.
And I'd like to say, please sign up for my podcast at reinvent-urself.com. And thanks again for listening. Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.